Welcome to our Town Hall Zoom gathering. This is the first time that at the TheEdCollab gathering, we're hosting a Zoom at the end of the day. Hi to everyone in the Zoom right now. Some of you might be watching this also on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn somewhere else. My remarks before the Zoom Town Hall, before we go into breakout rooms, those will happen live everywhere. And then I will disappear from here and be inside of the Zoom with other presenters and participants from today to talk at the end of the day. So first of all, I just want to share a big thank you, big giant thank you to all of our presenters for today. Thank you again, Dr. Carla España, for kicking off our gathering in such a fantastic fashion. You really set the tone for all of the work that happened. Then I, through the magic of the internet, was able to tune into all of the sessions across the day and just loved every time I popped into something. I was full of inspiration and learning. So thank you to our presenters. And please join me. And if you're in the Zoom right now, you can type this in the chat as well. Please join me in thanking our tech team for today. The tech team are made up of members of the Educator Collaborative who are educators themselves too, and make this day possible by volunteering their time to make sure that the presentations go well and all the tech is working for them, to make sure that the chats are moderated and that we're careful to keep this as a warm, loving, and safe environment to be in. And right now over in the Zoom as well too. So please join me in thanking the tech team. A special thanks to Jessica and Abby, the tech team co-leads, who are also helping to tech team run the Zoom right now too. Jessica has been with us since the beginning. Jessica, somehow we've done 23 of these together. And somehow we've done 23, and Jessica is always as dedicated and vibrant and caring about making this day meaningful to all of you as she was since the first one. So thank you, Jessica, for being a part of this always. And Abby's been with us for now several gatherings. This couldn't happen without your leadership and support. So thank you. And thank you, Shweta, Tawanda, Georgina, Janet, Heather, Kathleen, Troy. I hope I have everyone. I checked the list. Please, I hope that I did. Thank you to all of you for making this day so special. The gathering is hosted by the Educator Collaborative. Oops, it looks like these slides weren't moving themselves ahead. I'm saying things and we're not seeing them. Okay, give me one moment as I say thanks and also figure out where my slides are going at the same time. So what I'll say is the gathering is hosted by the Educator Collaborative, and we are a think tank of educators. What did I do? We are a think tank of educators who, I'll find it while I talk. We are a think tank of educators who meet together once a month in order to share, here it is, in order to share our research, our learning. We have educators from, doing two things at once. We have educators from a wide variety of backgrounds, here we go, who share their expertise, including classroom teachers, coaches, instructional leads, department chairs. Now let me stop this, share something else. I almost got it. Professors, we all work together to share. Got it. There we go. Okay, perfect. We all work together to share both our practice and just our love of education. Also, when times are tough, like they certainly are right now, it's a cohort of folks who I just am so happy to know I can see every month, because not only are we here for each other's learning, we also are here for one another. And so I just love and appreciate every permutation of the Educator Collaborative since the very beginning. And so this is also a special note that you could be a part of our think tank too. So our 2025-2027 associate cohort applications are open now. So we have our TheEdCollab fellows, and then there is a 2-year cohort of associates. We are now, I'm going to lose the number, but we've been through several rounds of associate cohorts, each as stunning as the one before. So we encourage you to apply. Applications are open at theedcollab.com/associate. They are open until June 1st. And one bit of advice I'll give you is show off. Please do not be humble. If you apply, which we hope you do not hold back, because we have just incredible educators that apply. It's always really challenging to build a cohort. We think about both the educator who's applying and the mix of the cohort as well too, and it just becomes an incredible learning community. So we'd love for you to join us too. You can find all the information about the associate program at the website. It is free to apply and free to join, and it really becomes the heart and soul of the work we do. At the TheEdCollab, we also are a professional development organization, so please reach out if you'd like to work with us in your school. We also speak at conference days. We give workshops at reading associations. Please reach out. We'd love to see you. Again, the gathering is free. You didn't pay to come here, except for a few of you that have applied for clock hours. There's a little bit of fee to help us do all the paperwork that's needed. But for the most part, this gathering is free. And so we ask you, instead of paying us for registration, or instead of paying for the lunch that you might take between sessions, or even how much you might pay for a coffee that you would get with your friends as you're running over to see Sam Bennett and Chris Giovanni talk, to take whatever you may have spent on a conference like this and instead pay the joy forward. Again, these are our two adopted charities for the day, the Trevor Project and Kind Kids in Need of Defense. Every time we adopt charities, they always are making an impact, especially on youth, but on the world in general. And now more than ever, it's so important that we pay our joy, our fears, our hopes forward to either these two charities or to others that you care about as well too. The Trevor Project is an organization that supports LGBTQ youth. Within their work, they run a crisis hotline where queer youth can call in for any crisis that they or others might be in. It's so essential that we support groups like the Trevor Project right now, because the current administration has decided, the budget hasn't been approved yet, but they have decided that while they're going to, for now, keep the national 988 crisis line, they are going to remove funding for the LGBTQ plus specialists that are there. Before funding is removed, you could call the 988 crisis line and ask specifically for queer support. Now they are going to cut funding for that. And so while the Trevor Project can help to fill that need, and has before the 988 crisis line went online, the Trevor Project can't do it alone. So we ask you to do two things. One, consider donating directly to them. Number two, contact your representatives and demand that the 988 crisis line stays fully funded, including the specialists for LGBTQ youth. And thank you for that. The other organization that was adopted by Dr. Carla España, our opening keynote, is Kind Kids in Need of Defense. This organization works with pro bono lawyers and others throughout the legal system to especially focus on children who are moving through the legal immigration system. This tends to be unaccompanied minors or other young migrant children who are inside of the system without an adult near them. For 15 years, the US government has had special funds put aside that have supported groups like Kind for this exact population. And now that funding has been ended. Why? Because of cruelty, because of bigotry and cruelty. Without that funding, what we have seen in the past is that children as young as 5-year-olds appear by themselves in court about their own immigration case. Unless that child is a genius in law, they are left to fend for themselves, both in the courtroom and all the paperwork and all of the meetings that take place from the moment they enter the system until they try to have asylum or a home. Kind relied a lot on that funding. They are working to find other philanthropy, other ways that they can support the work that they do, but they are in desperate need of funding. So, just like I said with Trevor Project, if you enjoyed today, please pay the joy forward by donating to Kind Kids in Need of Defense, but also please contact your representatives and demand that that general funding that for 15 years has lasted is restored. So we are about to enter some breakout rooms, but not just yet. I first want to help to set those up. with a closing address here for all of you. I'll be framing these breakout rooms, and the breakout rooms will appear at the end of my address, and there'll be 3 main topics that you can self-select into. If you're inside of the Zoom right now, you'll be able to do this in just a while. If you're watching on YouTube or somewhere else, you can listen as I talk about them. If you've already registered, you should have the link to join that Zoom in your email. The 3 breakout rooms will be teaching next steps. So these can be conversations you can self-select into if you'd like to think about what all of your learning from today, how to turn that into work inside of classrooms, because you're a classroom teacher or a coach, or you work with teachers. So teaching next steps, those conversations can focus on the classroom. Instructional leadership next steps, those can focus on what are the kinds of things that we can do as leaders, district administrators, building administrators, university department chairs, or just other folks that work in a leadership capacity. Instructional coaches, for example, you might go to this. What are things that we could do in instructional leadership as next steps to take all of your learning from today and put them forward? And then you could also choose to go to out of school next steps. So those are all of the things beyond the classroom that you'd like to talk about and think through. How do we write the course? How do we move in the direction that we know our children, ourselves, and our profession deserve? All of these are conversations that you'll be able to have together. In these conversations, there will not be a leader. So we have TheEdCollab facilitators that will help you in breakout rooms, but there is no one there that's going to say, and now this is what we're talking about. Instead, when the room's open in a handful of minutes here, you'll be able to self-select, and then whoever's in the room with you, it's your space and time to just talk, to connect with other participants and presenters from today, and to begin moving forward. And we'll invite you, if one conversation ends or you go to a room and you feel like it's not the right fit for you, you can just go to another room, and so you can make those decisions of where you are. So I'd like to have a address here to help us think about and get ready for these breakout room conversations. As I started with this morning, I put up this list from PEN America, which has been up until even 4 days ago, updating this list with through their reporting of finding everything that the current US administration is trying to ban in terms of language. So if you look at your screen, just like I invited you to do this morning, and just let your eyes float around anywhere, clean power, accessibility, women, race, equity, culturally appropriate, queer, prejudice, housing, and more, elderly. As you look at these words, these are words that this current government has decided can no longer be studied, and so they are not giving scientific grants to study them, has decided will no longer be funded. And so if you're an organization like KIND or like Trevor Project that relied on federal government grants, you likely cannot have those any longer. These are things that this current administration wants removed from our curricula in schools, from books that children read. They are trying to erase nearly everyone in society. And this morning, I gave the word "and" to say that what we need to do is think about how to connect and see that all of our plights are connected together. We can't smash one group down to have another group rise, because that's what this current administration and other authoritarians around the world are currently doing. So I'd like to take a moment to talk specifically to us as literacy educators, and to kind of go back in time and to help us think through what were things that were happening in that vein of trying to smash down some groups while others thought that maybe they were safe. What are things that we perhaps missed the boat on as literacy educators, that we can be mindful and thoughtful, and to really empower and embolden ourselves to think carefully about what's coming next. So here's a moment to call us in a bit. Let's huddle up and have a private conversation of perhaps places that we have failed and that we could recommit to going stronger. So you know these books. You know these movies, you know TV series, you know offshoots. There was a baking competition based on the Harry Potter series. Harry Potter as a character, as a story, is beautiful and incredible and meant so much to so many people. Many people who are adults today found power and joy in Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, took her millions and millions and millions of dollars and not only moved herself to a large home, or she probably has multiple homes, but she decided, what could I do with all of this power and audience? I know what I could do. I could be a transphobe. So J.K. Rowling has written extensively for years publicly, spoken extensively for years publicly about how the only way that women can rise up is by smashing down transgender people. She cares a lot about this topic, creepily too much about this topic. But J.K. Rowling was doing this long before the current quote unquote trans panic was happening. For years, J.K. Rowling has been spewing her transphobia. And literacy educators, I'm calling us in, many literacy educators have kept these books on their shelves, have continued to go and watch the new movies that come out, have watched the baking competition that happened, have continued to pay J.K. Rowling. And these are terrific stories. But there are so many fantasy stories that exist. The School of Good and Evil is on my shelf back here. Alois in her session earlier was sharing some authors that have these sorts of fantastical stories. J.K. Rowling wrote incredible things, but even the actors that appeared in Harry Potter series have denounced her and refused to work with any project she's related to again. And so I share this to say, one, did you stand up for trans people when J.K. Rowling was saying that their lives are not worth protecting? If not, that's a place to begin. If so, great, let's continue. And let's keep an eye out for who else is trying to tell us whose lives matter more than others. There is a very straight line between J.K. Rowling telling us that transgender people are not worth existing, that women can only survive as long as transgender people are stamped down. There's a very clear line between her damaging words and bathroom bans, and then the panic that we started to see in 2020, especially 2021, around book bans. Because there was permissiveness around a notable children's author saying horrific and untrue things, it became kind of okay to question other books and other identities and what's visible in our rooms. And that grew and grew and grew over time. I remember back in 2021 when board meetings were suddenly being overthrown with people who weren't even from the community shouting about books that shouldn't be in the classrooms. I had conversations, and I'm calling us in with love, but I had conversations with building leaders where I said, this seems homophobic that you are taking books out of classroom libraries. Yes, I hear you. I've literally had this conversation with multiple leaders. I hear you that you're keeping them in the school library. Thank you for that. But the fact that you're removing them from school libraries, that seems homophobic, queerphobic, transphobic, doesn't it? That policy seems like it's alienating the families in your community who are queer. And I had leaders shocked that I would suggest that perhaps there was homophobia inside of what was happening. And I understand that they were trying to work inside of a culture of fear that was growing. But every choice to not push back leads to more horror, as you see from 2021 to 2022 to 2023, to now not just books being banned, but curricula being banned too. There are straight lines between inaction and the next explosion. Many of you went to school board meetings. Many of you stood up and wrote and spoke out. I will say that I spoke out here in this platform. I did not attend a school board meeting, and I regret that now. That's an action I should have taken and should be more aware of taking in the future. There are other lines that connect here too. It's not just around queer existence, although when transgender people are under attack, clearly we all are, because what started with that small percentage of our population, that vibrant community, has now grown to that list of words that we've seen. But there are other populations that have been under attack, and over the last few years, even more so. For example, when Florida said that AP African American Studies curriculum could not be taught, there were many of us that pushed back. There also were a lot of literacy educators, I'm calling us in with love, that continued to teach other AP courses. The College Board that runs the AP program would not exist if we did not continue to teach their courses and have our students and families pay money to run them. That is a fact. So while there were some changes to the AP African American Studies curriculum, while it did eventually come out, while some people say it was, the changes were fine and they didn't do everything that the Ron DeSantis authoritarian government wanted them to do, there still were things that were lost. So here was a moment at the high school level where one area of AP studies was under attack, but others continued because we thought, well, I teach AP science, I have AP chem. I'm sorry that that's happening, but that has nothing to do with me. By thinking it had nothing to do with us, now you're under attack too. If we don't see ourselves as connected and having to act and make actions, it's a slippery slope from one group is under attack, then another, to all. So what are things that we can do? My two questions that I hope will get you started when you move to breakout rooms in a bit are these two. What are you willing to stop to save the world? And I am not being hyperbolic. I'm not. We have a world to save. What are you willing to stop to save the world? And what are you willing to start to save the world? And those actions, yeah, you could run for government, that would be great, but those actions are in our classrooms, in our schools, and what we as people do. So some examples of things to perhaps stop. So at the inauguration, here, a Fox affiliate in Austin had this. Nearly $1 trillion in net worth combined from the tech titans that gathered at Trump's inauguration. The AP, I thought, had an even clearer way of talking about it. Trump, a populist president, a president of the people, is flanked by tech billionaires. One thing that we can stop doing is funding these people, because all of us watching right now are engaged with Meta and or Amazon and or Google and or X and or Tesla and these are just some, but there are many folks who are funding the demise of that list of people's names. So one thing we can stop doing, you can decide to stop doing, is what are things that I can stop literally paying my money to or my eyeballs to? So for example, I do not shop at Target, and I love Target. But since Target, first with queer people and then with Black people, when Target, right when the right-wing trans panic was starting, Target started to roll back its pride displays. Target used to have fantastic pride merch. I will tell you, every June you could buy a million things. And then as this panic began to grow, Target started to slowly take them back. When trans people's lives are under attack, all of our lives are under attack. And then when Trump took office, Target rolled back their DEI initiatives, even though they were catering to especially Black creators and Black consumers. They know that there's power and wealth inside of that community. And so what happened? Well, Black people led the charge and said, I'm not shopping at Target anymore. And you know what? Neither am I. Amazon, I've stopped making Amazon deliveries, and it's very hard for me because I love it so much, but that's a way that I've stopped. But I haven't stopped everything. I love my Instagram. I scroll through Instagram, but I am aware that every time I scroll past an ad, money's going to Meta. So I've tried to cut back my Instagram scrolling. Amazon, I might once in a while have to get a thing. I have these like sensor lights around my home that are dying, and I don't know where else to get them, but I'm trying to find them. But if I can't find them, maybe I'll put in another one, but I'm trying not to. So it's doing none or less. That's a way to stop. Something that we can stop is also promoting authors who are taking our money and our eyeballs and our love for their creations and turning them into horror. I won't support J.K. Rowling because I think she's a transphobe bigot. I just won't, and I haven't for a long time, and I won't. You might have a stronger connection to Harry Potter than I do, so maybe you read it. Maybe you read it with your kids. So something else you can do, like when I took my kids to Universal Studios a few years ago, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is there at Universal. We paid to go to Universal, so clearly money went that way. But I said to my own children, we're not going to go in that land because the person who created it, the author behind it, says horrible things about transgender people. She believes that they don't have a right to exist. And my children said, that's terrible. I said, I know. It looks like it's a lot of fun, but we're not going to go in it because I don't want to support her. And they understood. Some things I'm failing on, others I'm trying. Those are things we can do to stop. So what can we do to start? And this is what I invite you to brainstorm as well, too. So for example, Finland now for years has embedded in their curriculum since elementary school, training kids to notice fake news and misinformation. Some of you are doing that already. A lot of us aren't. When I teach research, I'm still sometimes doing the thing we did way back when. We're like, well, check the date of publication, check the organization it came from. That's not enough in today's world. So what are things that we could be teaching in our curricula, in our classrooms, to empower kids to not fall into the same mistakes that we are too? And another place to start is to take this list of words, to take the ones that you care about and find organizations that are already doing that work and connect with them. For example, here in New York City is ACT UP. It's an organization that started underneath the AIDS pandemic many decades ago. It still is active today. I have now involved myself with ACT UP. I've been on some of their marches. I'm getting their information. I want to make sure that I'm supporting people living with HIV and AIDS. That's an organization I want to support, and I need to learn more too. So I invite you to pay the joy forward. I invite you to challenge yourself and to each other. We're about to go to breakout rooms, and to really think about, what are you willing to stop to save the world? And what are you willing to start to save the world? Because it will take all of our combined action. When we think of these not as disparate, broken problems, how do we fix everything, but really as one united push for liberation, it feels stronger. When I know I can have the strength of veterans, and I know I can have the strength of science researchers, and I know I can have the strength of queer abolitionists, and I know I can have the strength of Black organizations and Latinx organizations, when I know that I have communities that I can link with and hold on to, and we can move towards liberation together, I feel like we have more possibility. So I'm about to end here, and breakout rooms you can join. I'll pass it over inside of the Zoom to Abby or Jessica, who will help you through next steps. In those breakout rooms, you can choose to have just a free-flowing conversation about teaching next steps in your classroom, instructional leadership next steps, what you can do as you lead schools or lead teachers and curricula, or out-of-school next steps. Thank you all for joining the Educator Collaborative. This has just been an incredibly powerful day to be a part of. I've learned so much listening to our presenters today, and thank you for all that you do for educators, for students, for your colleagues, and most of all for this incredible and necessary profession that we are going to fight till the death to preserve. Have a great rest of your day and great rest of your school year, everyone. And please see us at the next gathering in the fall. Take care.